If we think of Polish composers abroad in the 20th century, we have to consider the history and political history of Europe and Poland especially. After the Great War in 1918, Poland regained independence, and this caused a very special situation after the years of partitions. Very soon, the young group of Polish composers went to Paris to study with Nadia Boulanger, and it was just for musical education. They wanted to be the members of European Musical Society. Some of these composers remained later in France for good, especially after the Second World War. And if we think of the Second World War, the whole group of composers, especially those who were of Jewish origins, had to escape Poland and had to escape Europe as well, just to save their lives because of the policy of Nazi Germany. Others, like Mieczysław Weinberg, for example, remained in the Soviet Union. And after the war, he didn't come back to Poland. He simply, for many decades, was considered as a Soviet composer. But he was born in Warsaw, and his Polish roots were quite important to him. After 1945, Poland remained in the Soviet sphere of influences, and we simply were on the east side of the so-called Iron Curtain. This caused an influence and political impact on music as well, and musical life quite soon. The composers were not allowed to compose freely. They had to write music the political authorities expected from them. And all these political influences caused that composers didn't want to stay in the country. There are especially two names of composers I would like to mention here: Roman Palester and Andrzej Panównik. Palester went to France in 1947 and didn't come back to Poland anymore. Quite soon he started working for Radio Free Europe, and his activity was strongly against Polish communist government. That's why he was not well seen in Poland, let's say. The political authorities just put his name on a censorship, and his music was not allowed to be performed in Poland anymore until the end of the 70s. The same situation happened to Andrzej Panównik, who flew from Poland to the United Kingdom in 1954. And in fact, Andrzej Panównik was quite lucky, because after all, he managed to establish quite a good career in the United Kingdom. He cooperated with London Symphony Orchestra, and now is very well recognized in the United Kingdom, and he was even knighted by the Queen for his contribution to British culture. However, he himself always considered being a Polish composer. With the time, the political obstacles were changing. For example, in the 70s or 80s, some Polish composers went abroad, but not cutting the contact with the country. They simply made a career abroad just by taking a position of professors at the music academies, as Krzysztof Meyer in Germany or Marta Ptaszyńska in the United States. They even don't consider themselves being emigrants, because they always kept contact with musical society in Poland. But at the same time, they spent many years just teaching and working abroad. That's why we include them here in our book as well. The youngest generation of Polish composers who are active abroad is a completely different story. There are people who can travel very easily from country to the country, and they can move without any political restrictions. So they can very freely choose the country they want to live without cutting any contact with Polish Musical Society. They very often work both in Poland and abroad. I could name here such people like Wojtek Blecharz, Praskwal, Jagoda Szmytka, and many, many others. By showing the whole century of activity of Polish composers abroad, we may see various problems connected with emigration, with leaving the country, with working in Poland or outside Poland, and with reception of the music of the composers. Through the 100 years of Polish music abroad, we have several generations with several different problems, and I'm sure that this book can give you a knowledge about all of them. Even if this is not the comprehensive view, we do hope that it will be possible to have an idea and just to know the music of many of these composers better.